All right, you guys. So I'm working on getting some things straightened out. I'm a couple of seconds late, couple of minutes late today, or just like 2 minutes late, because I've been working on some things. I'm actually trying to do an intro that includes sound, and I had to check a couple things. There's so much involved in this. Like when you start going and doing this, I had to go and check on to make sure that like all of the the music, like when I not that. But when I play other music, like this intro, like this music here, when I did that yesterday, if you play it for a certain amount of time, it flags it as if it's not whether it's copyrighted information or not. So it tells you. And I wasn't sure. I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not trying to go get on anybody's bad side for anything. So I was like, it sent me a notice saying that that was material that was registered already or copyrighted, but it was already. It's like share information. It's like certain medias they'll give you just to share stuff. So today, I'm going to go over some things today. It's going to be kind of a little bit different, a little bit interesting. Well, a lot interesting. I think it's all interesting, but we're going to go over a few things, and I'm going to work on my skills here, my mad skills that allow me to do all of these things that are helping you guys to understand some of this stuff. So today I decided what we're going to do something just a little bit different than what we had done, what I had been doing before. And well, not really that much different, but a little bit. Um, we're going to have different segments. I'm going to talk about um, understanding secured party creditor and secured transactions, because secured party is a term that is very universal. Um, when they talk secured party creditor, you're talking about a different, and there's no such thing as secured party creditor. You're a secured party and a creditor. But when they're talking about that way, they're talking about a way that is given to a commercial term. You guys are already secured because people wouldn't be giving you credit if you weren't secured. And I say they wouldn't be giving you credit because you don't receive something from somebody. In other words, you might get a rejection letter, but that is the extent of the credit that they will give you. It doesn't say that they didn't take more credit than that. It said that is what they gave you. Okay. So, with that being said, many of these things that are not spoken and not said, or what we are not clear on, what people don't understand, is what gets them in trouble. So secured transactions are they're critical that we have them because they keep the financial landscape. Could you imagine what it would take if you guys wanted to have mushrooms imported? And this is not the ones that make you funny, okay? We're talking just like portobello mushrooms. Could you imagine if the only place that made them was maybe, I don't know, India or Africa or something like that? And India or Africa said, I'm sorry, we don't accept you guys' credit because it's no good here and you need to bring us gold. So they would have to get enough gold to transport over there to purchase anything. It would be so expensive. It just isn't worth it. People would figure out another way to do it. So credit is so important that things are done like that. And I think I explained to you guys one time. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I just dreamed I explained it. Either way, I'll explain it again. In the times of Cicero, when they needed money, that was the first time a bill of exchange was used because someone over in another place owed money to to somebody. Okay, so somebody owed money, and well, or he owed money to somebody, or his kid. Okay, this is what happened. His kid wanted money, so he couldn't get him the money because they were too far away. And so he knew somebody that was in the same town his kid was in. And so he told those people, here, just pay my kid the money. And that way you can pay me back. I need you to pay me back and pay my kid the money. And, those things were like when people made promises back then, it was like, okay, here's the promise. It's going to be for, you have 90 days and then this amount will be due. Or someone would write a promissory note. I promise to pay you $50 in 90 days. And that would be it. It was a promissory note. It promised. But that bill was due on that date that the money came, right? That's the whole point of having the promissory note. It's a note that promises something. So that note was based upon your credit, your ability to get the credit to go get, like you had it somewhere, right? It's saying that, will you trust me that I have this somewhere else and I can get it somewhere else? That's what credit is. It's saying, I trust you will, under terms and conditions. Now, it wasn't all of it at one time. Sometimes they did have those, and those exist today. Those are called balloon payments. Balloon payments exist in the world today because, it's just like somebody says, okay, we'll call it due in a year. We'll call it due in 12 months, or we'll call it a balloon payment in 3 years. So you have nothing, or maybe you have payments. I don't know. It could be any number of conditions, but you have so many things that happen and then the balance is due. That's what a balloon payment is. And sometimes people know that they're receiving like settlements, so they'll agree to a balloon payment. Hi, how about you loan me money for just a year and a half? And people are more prone to do that if they can verify that you have the funds coming in later on at that time. See, the reason that people are not getting help, okay, the reason that people are telling you you can or cannot get what you're applying for is because you signed something above that signature that said that they would have the full right and authority to pass judgment on you. No one could pass judgment on you before you made an agreement. Just like nobody can, come and take something that is yours if you didn't agree to that before it happened. They can't do it. It's impossible. It cannot happen. So we're making an agreement to go and do something that that otherwise we would not make an agreement to do, but it's usually to just get whatever it is right there. Give me that thing. Give me that thing right there. I want that, whatever it is, that car. Give me that car, or I want that house, or I want that, I don't know, whatever you get, job. Whatever it is, you just like, people want things, and that's where we get into trouble, because these things are all like right here available to us anyways, and it's getting caught up in vanity and ego that gets us in trouble. So when we're talking secured party, and the word secured party and creditor, the secured party or the creditor refers to the entity that's holding a security interest in a collateral, okay, provided by the debtor. Okay, so let's do this. All right, the debtor doesn't have any money, so they walk up to a window and say, hey, I don't have a car. I don't have any money. Can you give me a car? And they say, sure, debtor, sign here, right? So then they just created a pledge as an asset, okay, to the collateral to safeguard the creditor. If you don't pay what you say you're going to pay, then they have that alternative signature to go after, except what's happening is they're turning around and creating the accounting right then and there, and then you're paying them again on a secondary payment. And that's what people don't comprehend. I'm not trying to tell anybody to go and get out of a debt that you agreed to. I'm not telling you to, you should entitle yourself and tell these people they can kiss your big booty. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's like, look, you know what? You guys didn't understand. We didn't understand what we did when we did it. It was our own fault. We actually did everything that all these people that we say are bad people, they're horrible for doing what they're doing. But we sit at home and we don't look anything up and don't read anything, and we wonder why all these bad things are happening to us. You have to go and find out the root of the problem. And when you know the root of the problem, you just say, hey, wait, you know what? I was the one that did that. How did I do that? Wow, I went and I engaged into this activity and I didn't even know I was doing it. Oh, silly, silly me. How silly was that of me? I mean, we have to laugh at ourselves, folks, because we are these like really, like, I don't know, we're these like creatures that want to go and explore and do everything. And we want to beat everybody else at it. You know, we want to be the first one. Wait, I want to go and figure that out first. It's just in our nature. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that competition as long as it's balanced and healthy. You get a lot of these egomaniacs, and a lot of you people know what I'm talking about. I mean, I think some of us at least have, known or maybe dated or married or whatever in the past, these kind of people that, we realized later on, and it's not a bad thing. It's just they were there for that period of time for our lives. They were a learning experience, and we move on to what we move on to. And some people are going through the learning experience. Some people are not there yet. I mean, it's always a learning experience, but sometimes it's just different with different relationships and such. When we're talking about secured party and secured party creditor, this designation, it's crucial because it confers legal authority to repossess and dispose of the collateral under conditions that are specified in the security agreement. The security agreement is your contract, folks. If the debtor defaults, there is specific terms and agreements in a security agreement. The cool thing about a security agreement is that, well, I don't want to say cool thing because everybody's going to get, I don't want you all to get this like ambitious attitude, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go try this. But if you didn't agree to something and you really didn't agree to it, like you agreed to it, but now you find out, hey, wait a second, I didn't know I agreed to this, then you need to let people know, but you need to get a little bit more educated on the subject. I highly encourage you guys to like get some more information on what you can do in your particular circumstances. And it's just, there's only in this realm, what I'm teaching folks is there's only like, I don't even want to scare people with, I want to say 30. I want my first number was 50. There's only like 50 real rules to know. But some of you folks have been doing this for so long, already 30,000 of them. 30,000. I'm not kidding with you when I tell you that. Like, you have so many of these things memorized where you come from and the other stuff. And it's great to know this case law. Like, case law is good to know. Hey, you know what? This concept applies here. I always thought, I don't know. I for some reason, throughout this journey, I've always had this feeling like, even though I'm learning this, like, it doesn't seem like it's related. I always found out that every single thing I learn is related to something later, every single time. And when that happened, every time I did that, I learned to become more interested in even the things I wasn't interested in, because I'm like, I'm being given this because it's connected to something else. So pay attention. And as life went by, it became more like that. Like, pay attention. And you just like, now I don't let anything go. It's almost like I almost search for the alternative meaning, because the regular meaning is it's meant to throw me off. The meaning that you get every single day, folks, is meant to make you despair and feel negative. But if you can seek out the second meaning of that, which is really telling you the guidance, it's really like, someone says, oh my gosh, I missed this. I did that. I was late for this. Oh, I can't even believe I missed that appointment. Well, you probably didn't know it, but if you would have gone that way, you also missed that head-on collision. So congratulations. You know what I mean? Like, how many times do we not know the alternative of something that came out a good way when we feel like it was a bad way? And part of that, and I know this is a little aside from the secured party creditor, but part of that is having the trust in the knowledge in what we know. If we know what exists while we're out here, like, hey, what's the confusion? And you can tell people People do not, you guys, and I don't mean like each person individual watching this, but for in a general sense, people do not have any confidence. They have been given like a list of, well, I wouldn't even say 10 commandments. I'd say you've been given a list of like diddly squat things that you're supposed to do, and we follow these. And the more I've been doing this, the more years I'm into this, I want to share something just specific with you because I like this is why I can only um I guess communicate with certain folks, because there are situations where um somebody, you know, says, okay, well, they want to make plans or do something, and they get a message that says they've been summoned for jury duty. And the first thing that comes to my head is only the only dead get summoned. Only dead get summoned. So, have you ever thought about maybe contacting people and telling them you're not dead? And I got back an emoji that was like, hmm. It's just funny, you know, when you see people go through these trials and tribulations and they don't know. They think this is for me. This thing is for me. This message is for me. It's for me to have this message. Um, it's not, message isn't for you. It's actually for anybody that'll listen, because that's the only way all of this stuff comes to draw consensual stuff. And it's having things that are, you know, when people consent to them by not knowing what your options are, by not speaking up, then you run into more problems than will help. So we get into situations that we can't get out of, and it's because we don't know. And my people will perish for lack of knowledge. So the role and the significance of secured transactions um, is to reduce financial risk for creditors and getting higher volume, higher lending at lower interest rates. That's their perspective. Okay. Um, the risk mitigation, it's essential for stimulating business investments and consumer financing. If people can get big orders without having to have the gold transported to them first, then they can move on to the next order, right? You don't have to wait and sit there and go, okay, now we close this one. Okay, now on to the next one, you know, and you got other people waiting. So it's just efficient in the way of business. Um, so creditors can recover loans through collateral that is put up. When someone goes and engages in a child support agreement by agreeing to be a non custodial parent, they are agreeing to be a title and a role. And if they don't follow through with that, then they agree to be the responsible party, whoever handles the penalty for whatever that is for not following the rules. So, for example, if a child support person, a person who owes child support or who has a child, agrees that they are a non custodial parent or is adjudicated a non custodial parent, then there comes a secondary obligation with that title and role of being a one who pays. Okay. Now, it's just by a contract, and it's like a servicing fee because, well, the state is already handling everything on your behalf. Okay. But we're not controlling any of this. And that's why this happens. So you're ensuring that, like, the collateral part, when we become the surety for the debt. And by the way, I'm going to reiterate this too. There is a bunch of classes that are going around on YouTube that are about secured party and doing or well, quasi secured party, I guess, but it's doing Patrick Devine stuff. And many of you guys, I know you probably heard of it. It was posted in our room. But I'm going to tell you right now that they're teaching the suretyship wrong, entirely wrong. The debtor is not the surety. The debtor is not the surety, folks. The debtor is not the surety. You guys are the surety. That's why you're getting held and put into jail, and people are taking you into court because you're the one that agreed to be liable for the debt, no one else. So, I mean, that's just one of the things that are wrong. But I just want you guys to know that there's misleading information all over there. And the information that's out there right now, um, some people have some of it and are missing, some people are missing some really major parts. And they don't even know that they're missing major parts. And they continue to, well, it works. Okay, well, you know what? You can do certain things, but there's going to come a time where what's not yours is not yours. You might get something to work. It's just like, I mean, you can put a band aid on something too and make it heal up, but it doesn't heal all the way until you give it an opportunity to attachment in secured transactions. An attachment, and this is what you guys, when you talk about garnishments and things, an attachment is a legal mechanism that makes a security interest enforceable between the debtor and the secured party. Okay. The secured party, see what you're doing, what you guys are doing is you're giving a signature up to somebody, and then they're turning around and making you the debtor. So you went from the creditor and then you gave it over to them and they turned around because you didn't like have any trust to go with it. There was nothing with it. And you don't know what the trust part is. So you have to have that trust in place first before you can go and do that. But once you do that, then you're dealing with a different situation. People don't go into public. You don't have to go into public. It's a lot easier to go and pick out what you want in the public, pick it out, get the invoice, and then acquire it in private. That's the way you do it. Okay. So the three pillars of attachment. And again, attachment is a legal mechanism which makes a security interest enforceable between the debtor and the secured party. So when you guys, creditors, walk up to somebody and you give them a signature because you don't know how to use your credit, they turn around and make themselves the creditor and they make you the debtor. And now they just created a new contract where they're the creditor and you're the debtor. And it looks like they loaned you money, but they actually just went into your account and got it because it's a spendthrift account. No one is going to tell you about this account. Look up the word spendthrift. A spendthrift is protection against in bankruptcy against creditors so that people can't go in and get it. But it also protects you who's unknowing in this matter, on this subject matter, about how to handle it. So the three pillars of attachment of a security interest. It requires the execution of a security agreement, which is the legally binding agreement that identifies the collateral and is authenticated by the debtor's signature. Okay, that's what that is, execution of a security agreement. Then you have value exchange. Okay, the secured party must provide something of value to the debtor, which can be in the form of money, goods, services, or an existing obligation. What is an existing obligation? An existing obligation is a promise to pay, right? Think about it. I promise I'll pay you something in the future. It may be $100, and then you turn around and sell that to somebody else. Well, somebody else can turn around and use that to go buy something else. It's a promise. That's how this system works. It's all on promises to pay in the future. And if you've given somebody a promise to pay in the future, then they're going to darn well get it. Okay, whether they got to go into your pocket and get it out from you. That's the whole thing of this, is that like there's no risk on any of these loans. They classify you guys as risk, and you're the only credit that is available out there. But you don't ever exercise this position from a position of credit. You're always exercising it from a position of debtor, being indebted, and it's because you don't comprehend it. And it's just a matter of understanding what happened. So the secured party provides something of value to the debtor, okay, which can be in the form of money, goods, services, or existing obligation. So you can walk up there too. And I want you to know this, that the one that's walking up, that is the one that's receiving, is the debtor, okay? The one that is receiving money is the debtor because they're receiving it. That's the whole reason why they're debtors. But you have to know that when you're in debtor creditor world, anytime you're giving debt up, you're not a creditor. That's not a creditor. That is somebody who's exchanging a debt for a debt. Okay, that's not a creditor. It is considered a collateral, but it's only valued to the eye of the beholder. That's what it comes down to. So in discussion of the importance of the proper attachment, and having those three rights to the collateral, the debtor must have the legal rights to the asset that they're pledging as collateral. You guys can't pledge something that's not yours, right? So that is your proof. If you want prima facie evidence under like an attachment, well, they're saying that, they're saying, well, you have to have the rights to that. Well, if you have the rights to it, if it says you have the rights to it, then you have the rights to it. So you guys need to stop acting like after it happens, because you come debtors, you don't have rights to it. You absolutely have the rights to it. So then we have the perfection of a security interest. How does somebody perfect a security interest? Perfection is the process that publicly establishes the priority of the creditor's security interest over other claimants. It's achieved through methods that make the security interest enforceable, not only against the debtor, but also against third parties. I'm going to see if I can't find you something here. Nope, it's not it. I don't know if I have it right here. I don't think I do. I don't. Okay, I was looking for a book that I have, but I don't have it right here. It's not readily handy, but I'll show it with you guys. I'll share it with you guys another time. It was just going to go over the maritime jurisdiction. And maritime jurisdiction, I want you to know, like, some of the things that it says in law is that even though you don't have the first priority claim in time, you don't have to. It says you can have the first claim on the interest simply because of your position. In other words, there is a timing thing in the attachment to this, okay? If you guys go, but on that certificate itself, because it's in maritime, it is not the attachment itself. It's not a timing thing. It's because you are who you are. You can go get it at any time, okay? That's just a thing that, I just wanted you to know that. But perfection is the process that publicly establishes priority of the creditor's security interest over other claimants. So in situations where certain things you have right now that you haven't given away, you would have a security interest that is priority over that. It's achieved through methods that make security interest enforceable, not only against the debtor, but also against third parties. So we can achieve these and perfect this through filing a financing statement. So you guys have heard the UCC1. I'm not going to recommend you do a UCC1, but I will tell you that you can do a non-UCC1, and that is a priority statement. And the UCC1 is the most common method, though, involving the filing of a statement with government office that describes the secured party, the debtor, and the collateral. Okay, so it's very simple. It's laid out very simply. For tangible assets like equipment or inventory possession by the secured party, can perfect the interest by possession. So that's why they say possession is 9/10 of the law, because by having the possession of the stuff, you take a security interest in that. You take that interest in it. Now, that's the equitable interest. But if they take it, then they got both, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's why they can do anything with it at that point in time, because we don't know how to make any claims on any of this property. So when I show you guys, I teach you guys how to make equitable interest, because that's as beneficiaries. Everything we're teaching you that I teach you guys, as long as you're not like in a dire situation, okay? As long as you're not in a dire situation. Oh, by the way, I really forgot to play this, and I keep forgetting, so I need people to remind me.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Super funny that the time is 3:33, guys and gals. Where I'm at, it's 3:33. There are no mistakes. So that being said, for tangible assets like equipment or inventory, it's secured by taking possession, control. And for intangible assets like bank accounts or investment securities, control over the asset typically perfects the interest. Okay. There's other things that are involved in that, but just very generally speaking, the perfection of a security interest is crucial for maintaining the priority over the collateral. It serves as a public declaration that alerts other potential creditors about the secured party's interest in the assets, preventing others from unknowingly extending credit against the same collateral. Okay, so it's a record of things. These people, now the reason that people tell you, if you go over to other secured party things, they're going to say, first thing you need to do is go pull yourself a UCC 11 and make sure that there's no liens against your name. Okay, so they tell you that because they want you to start establishing a record. But you can do the same thing in equity. It doesn't matter whether there's any liens established on the name. It's not your name anyways. You don't care about that. It's a waste of time. That is secured party stuff. That is why that stuff doesn't mesh with equity. You can't do both. When you guys choose something, it's like saying, you know what, I like my blonde girlfriend, but I also like my brunette girlfriend. And on days that I want to go to the beach, I want to take my blonde girlfriend. And on the days that I want to go out and have dinner, I want to take my brunette girlfriend. No, guys. No. Where's that? Where's that? Give me just a second. I'll find it. Okay. Guys, no, that doesn't work. Okay. You can't do that. You can't like have a side chick. All right. There's no side chicks in this. And ladies, you can't have side dudes either. Okay. It works both ways. We can't have it our cake and eat it too. That's not, I mean, it's a great thought. I love the way you think. And I like how you're being like a spirit that just wants to thrive and be out there and just on display and all that stuff, but it doesn't work in equity. You choose one thing. And when you guys choose, like, hey, you know what? I realize that I'm really important, that I'm really something that is significant and not just an everyday run-of-the-mill average person. And when you realize that, like, wait a second, these people that had all of this stuff before, they didn't have any sort of like anybody telling them what to do. So how did they ever figure out what they did? Well, they just knew. They knew in their hearts that they had the authority to do what they did. No one told them any different. And no one at that time took away their ability to be able to be a part of that in assimilated group of people. And people shared a lot of things. A lot of things were a lot different back in the day. And I'm going to show you, the reason I'm reaching out is because I want to show you, like, this is one of the things I wanted to show you guys yesterday. This is a book that has it's got some cures, guys. Some cures. You guys want some fixins? This thing will put a fixin' on you. Let me just see. Like, okay, so for those of you who have unpleasant odor of perspiration, by the way, this is from like the 1800s, okay? And then I'll do lice when you guys can get lice off your cattle when we're done with this, okay? So I'll tell you how to do that. So go get your cattle ready and just listen up while I'm telling you this. The unpleasant odor of perspiration. This source of annoyance, which is often difficult to treat, may be removed as follows. Mix a tablespoonful of the compound spirits of ammonia with a small basin of water. By washing the armpits, and hands with this solution, the skin will be left clean and sweet. I wonder who tasted that skin after and then decided that. The wash is cheap and harmless and is much preferable to the perfumes and unguents which disguise but do not relieve the trouble. So you guys want to get lice off your cattle, and then I'll look for something different in here. These may be destroyed with a decoction of 2 ounces of lobelia seed in 1 quart of boiling water. Let it stand and keep warm for 5 hours until the strength is extracted. Apply with a sponge. A decoction of Coccolus indicus made in the same way will answer when the lobelia seed cannot be obtained. There you go. So there's a whole bunch of things in this, guys and gals. I wish I could, like, I know all of you guys would be interested in like different parts of this, because it's got really neat little stuff in it. Maybe I'll see if I can maybe copy it. Let's see what else I can find. I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's raining here. Okay, so here's mayonnaise dressing. You guys want to make mayonnaise? This is mayonnaise. Mayonnaise dressing. All right, get your cookbooks out. Mayonnaise dressing. Have oil, vinegar, or lemon juice, and the yolk of 1 egg very cold. Beat with a Dover egg beater the yolk of egg in a cold bowl. Add gradually 1 teaspoonful of olive oil, beating all the time. Add 5 drops of vinegar or lemon juice. Then add another spoonful of oil. Again, a few drops of vinegar. Again, oil. It is safest in hot weather to prepare it in the cellar. Then vinegar, then more oil, until the teacupful of oil and 2 tablespoonsful of vinegar have been used. Then pepper and salt to taste. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be eating that, but I don't know. I mean, that's where they got that stuff from, I guess. Okay, all right. Let's see what else. Macaroni. No, I won't do that. Let's see what else I can find here. Ransom's hive syrup and tolu. Croup syrup. Best remedy for the throat and lungs. This is a notice. There's a notice in here. Trask's magnetic ointment. Inflammation of the bowels and lungs. Okay, so let's see. I'll read you guys the next. You know what? Okay, so here's they actually left this article. This was okay. So I went and got this off of eBay. This book, and burn. Apply the white of a raw egg. If the egg is broken over the burned spot, the white shuts out the air and quickly soothes away the pain. I don't think it fixes anything. I think it just gives the illusion that the pain isn't there. Okay. To remove dry putty, old putty can be removed without injury to the sash or glass by passing a hot soldering iron over it. The heat of the iron softens readily. It gives the best salad. How to preserve eggs. Add each a pailful of soft water 2 pints of fresh slaked lime, and 1 pint of common salt. Mix well. Fill a barrel full, half full of this mixture. Put the eggs down in it anytime after June, and they will keep fresh all winter and will keep 2 years if desired. Holy crap. You guys, we just discovered how to preserve eggs. I'll say that again. Add to each pailful of soft water 2 pints of fresh slaked lime, SLAKED. But not allowed to freeze. So there you guys go. There's how to preserve your eggs for 2 years. Wow, that's crazy. But it's interesting. Some of this stuff, and I didn't realize I wasn't like speaking directly into the mic, so I apologize. But some of these things that are things that we think as being insignificant, or different ways that they came about different ways that, well, they don't want you to preserve eggs for 2 years. If people learn how to preserve eggs for 2 years, then people will be buying stuff and stocking up on it. You know what I mean? They don't want that. They want you to be out of it and need to go and get more. You need to be able to go and get more like right now, and they need to be able to cut that off whenever they want. So that's part of a control issue. And yeah, we're working on the control issues for them. Yeah, they got some control issues, but it's okay. So enforcement of security interests, procedures for enforcement, it becomes relevant when a debtor defaults on obligations. You guys, we all know that when we've had something taken, or, they've written us a notice and taken us to court. Primary steps include repossession of the collateral, its disposition through sale, and applying the proceeds towards the debt owed. All right. The legal and ethical considerations in this enforcement are, they have to adhere to legal standards, whatever you've agreed in your contract. They have to be ethical according to other things that have been done before. And it includes notice to the debtor, ensuring that the sale of the collateral is conducted in a commercially reasonable manner, and then respecting the rights of everybody that's involved. They don't do this, but the things that they don't do when you guys are trying to get remedy are not remedy. Can't be remedied at law, which is why people are not getting any traction. And the only people that are trying to do this are trying to get remedy at law. You're not going to get remedy at law. Okay. Law only goes so far. It tells you right here. Okay. Here's what the law says. Okay. Sorry. We didn't mean to take money from the widow. The law says we can only go this far. But when you bring up the fact that the lady is a widow and, this was intended for something different, then it creates a different picture, and that will be fixed. But it's not going to be fixed in law. Okay. So the enforcement of these particular transactions is done simply because we lose our positions of authority in these transactions and working out these transactions. We don't have the authority that we believe that we have in the beginning. And so we begin to make presumptions and think that things are a certain way. All right. Think that they, think that they belong in a certain sense, and they don't. We don't have certain rights, and we're trying to go and create things when we haven't asserted those rights to be in a perspective where we can do something about it. The secured party is taking the role of the trustee because the trustee has not taken the role on themselves and done what you guys want them to do. But there is enforcement that is above that secured party because you waive your equitable position as a beneficiary of the trust, not of the spendthrift that you've gotten right now. Because we all know that Social Security trust is really kind of a joke. There's no, I've got the cheapest Social Security trust in the world. And they don't want to give you guys what your benefits are. They don't want to give you anything because, well, if they give you stuff, then they don't get to keep the rest. And you already made a contract with them that said that they could give you peanuts. So before you sign, make sure you're not agreeing to the peanuts at the bottom. Okay. You're agreeing things that are lesser than honorable. They're less than credible. They're not really good at all in any way whatsoever. But some people may think that they're beneficial. I mean, there are people that say, you know what, I really did get a lot out of that counseling. And maybe people did. I don't know. But I look back and I think of all that counseling. The counseling was like a benefit so that I could deal with another thing that they caused. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, yeah, let's thank you for deflecting my attention over here and now, focusing it on something else so I can give you credit for something that you caused. I'm not really, into that. I don't really care to participate in those sort of things. We have the authority to go and create a secured party account. I personally would tell you that you're much better than having to just go and it's like when you have a job and you want to hire somebody to do a job for you because you're like, okay, I want to hire somebody to do this, and then they don't do it to your expectations. Instead of you like creating a situation that someone else is accountable, you just start doing it yourself. Well, like that never flies. That is an identity crisis in itself, because we're questioning who we are and whether we really have the authority to do this. Because if we really had the authority to do this, we would be telling people to do it on our behalf, which is what really, really the whole scenario and position is. We just have been presenting this the wrong way. We're looking at it from the wrong perspective, through the wrong lens. And as long as we continue to look at it through the wrong lens, then we're not going to see what the reality of it is. The reality of it is that we did absolutely 100% cause every single thing from the beginning. We took their property, we used it for stuff. We became liable for their creation of this debt tree, okay? It's like you have two trees to select from in the yard, and you don't know how one tree works, so you go over to this one. You're like, okay, I don't know how that one works, but that one I know at least I can get something and I can make it work. So I'll go with that one. And we do that. We go and select that one that's going to work for us, and we're like, yes, this one's going to work. And, well, it works. It works to get what we want, but then it starts backfiring when we don't understand it. And then we start learning all these other things like, wait a second, I signed this over. Wait, a promissory note? Wait, they didn't loan me any money? Wait a second. Like, how is this all working? Wait a second, there's more accounting? I don't understand this. That's where people get frustrated, and they don't know where to go, and they don't know where the answers are, and they don't know, like, what is real and what isn't. I will tell you that secured party is a real thing. It does work if you know what you're doing, but you're having to take the accountability and you're having to take all of the liability and do something with it. I tell you, learn how to do it and then make them your public servants, which is what we're talking about in general. We're talking about a bankruptcy where several, a lot of public servants were hired as trustees to be public trustees for the bankruptcy that was created. And this bankruptcy, like, folks, I want you to know, the Constitution is a debt. Okay, that's what it is. Look at constitutor. Constitutor is not somebody who has gas problems. It's somebody who has passed a debt on to another. One who passes a debt to another. So a constitutor, the people who wrote the Constitution were writing up a contract to pass a debt on to the rest of the people that were here. And people could jump on the debt side if you wanted, or you could jump on the private side if you wanted. Those are the two choices. And being secured does help you learn, but it doesn't do anything for you. It does not do anything for you until you learn the ins and outs of it. And even then, there's a lot of people out there that are teaching secured party that know the secured party stuff really well. They don't know equity at all. And they're doing equitable things in the secured party stuff, but it's like being 50, half 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, I mean, I don't know. You can't be half gay. I'm just saying. You can't. It's just one. You're either one way or the other. It just is what it is. Um, and so when we come into these circumstances and we don't know who we are, we choose options that are not us. They were never intended for us, but it's the only option that was on the table. And it's like, well, I had to survive. We say that, but it's not really a matter of survival. It's a matter of knowledge. If you would have known, would you have made that choice before? Would you have made that choice if you would have known? Probably not. So we put ourselves into these positions, and then we realize that, oh my goodness, I bit off more than I could chew. And because of that, we have to put ourselves back into a situation and a check where we can, look at, what has caused the problems where we are. Okay. I'm going to give you guys also, we're going to talk at the very end of this about what the definition of debt is. Okay. I went and looked up 5 different definitions of debt for you. Okay. And these are real definitions. These are not like your legal definitions that you're going to find today. Okay. You will never find these definitions anywhere else because I found them for you, and you're going to find them right here on this screen. So anyway, no, not on the screen, but you'll see them in the transcription. So in the commentaries on the laws of England by Sir William Blackstone, 1765 to 1769, he defines debt as a specific sum of money that is owed or due. And he describes it as an obligation that arises from a contract or other binding agreement. Okay, that's in Commentaries on the Laws of England, Volume 3, page 154 in 1768. So that's Blackstone's Commentaries. A Treatise of Equity by William Ballow in 1737 explains debt in the context of equity as an obligation to pay certain amount of money, often arising from a contract. Equity courts deal with debts when legal remedies are inadequate, focusing on fairness. You see, that's why you can't get a legal remedy in this stuff, because equity is the only one that handles it. H. Ballow, A Treatise of Equity, and those are pages 98 and 99. So Commentaries on the Equity of Jurisprudence. Commentaries on Equity Jurisprudence by Joseph Story, 1835. He defines debt as an obligation to pay a certain sum of money, which can arise from an express or implied contract, judgment, or other obligation. The equitable consideration enforcing the debt is emphasized. And that's Volume 1, Section 33. And Equity Draftsman by Frederick Calvert in 1815 describes debt as a legal obligation to pay money, which equity courts might enforce or might relieve under certain circumstances. The role of equitable principles is handling debts. That's what the role of equitable principles is. So you wonder why people can't get any remedy anywhere else, folks. Well, I'm telling you right now, it's plain as day. That's Equity Draftsman, page 4546 from 1815. And Principles of Equity by George Tucker Bispom. Debt is a definite sum of money owed by one party to another. And equity courts address debts, particularly when legal remedies are insufficient or unjust. Bammo, bammo, bammo. And to break it down in a more engaging way, here's a summary how these legal giants viewed debt. Blackstone saw it as simply the money you owe. It's like owing your friend $5, but with more legal jargon and fewer awkward texts asking, hey, remember that loan? Debt in equity is about fairness. Think of it as legal system's way of making sure you pay what you owe, but only what's fair. If you borrowed a cow, you better return a cow, not a goat with attitude. Debt arises from contracts, judgments, or any legal obligation. It's about keeping your word and paying up, whether you promised a sack of gold or your firstborn. Okay, maybe not that dramatic. Debt is a legal obligation, and equity steps in when the law solution doesn't quite cut it. It's like calling in the fairness police when the legal cops can't get the job done right. Debt is a specific sum you owe, and equity ensures that repayment is handled justly. It's like having a referee of the game of debts, making sure everyone plays fair and square. So, this is today's show, guys. I appreciate you guys very much, and I appreciate you coming out and viewing this. We're getting a lot of views on the channel. I encourage you to share with other people if you have other folks that are interested. If you go back and look at the video after I post them, you will see that I can't do today's until tomorrow because it takes 3 hours for this thing to post. And usually I'm in bed, guys. No, not usually. So I usually do go to bed kind of early. So sometimes these are not posted by the time I go and lay down. But if it is, otherwise I'll get up and I'll revise it all and I'll put hashtags in there. And I also put highlighted spots so you guys can go see, hey, he talked about this there. He talked about that there. Whatever you guys run across, let me know. The other thing, bring your questions. If you have questions that are inside of if you put them down in the comment section down below, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, please. Like the videos if you would. I don't care if you like them or not, but like them for me. But these things are gonna help to build this channel and to build everything that we're doing. So I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of work going into all this. I'll keep building and building as we keep, having the demand for people to want to learn and want to get out of problems. And so I'm thinking, what was I going to tell you guys next week? We're going to do something kind of cool next week. I think today is, and you guys, once you get to know me, you're going to realize I don't know what day it is. So I had to look it up. It's Wednesday. So I'll be on tomorrow. And I'll have an announcement for what we're going to do. So we're going to do something cool for people next week, the following week, out there in the public world. So we want you guys to reach out. Make sure you guys get become members of this before you get into the podcast and we start streaming, because you have to be here for a certain period of time before it'll let you start making comments. I want you guys to post your comments and questions, post your interest on where you what do you want to learn about? What are you dealing with? What kind of problems are you guys dealing with? Because you post them down there and I'll address your issues. I have no problem with doing that. If we have enough questions at the end of the week, I'll just make one whole entire question. So let's get it together, and you guys, the more contributions that you add, the more things that I can come back and provide you and kind of cater for what you guys need. So with that being said, I send you guys much love and good energy. I appreciate you guys very much, and have an amazing day. I yield.